Hello friends, this video on surface chemistry part 18 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So having understood the definition of colloids and dispersed phase and dispersion medium, now I will classify colloids. Colloids are actually classified based on three criteria. First is they are classified based on the physical state of dispersion medium and dispersed phase. I'll just explain what is dispersed phase is nothing but my colloidal particles, and medium is the medium on which my colloidal particles are stick to. That is the first classification. That is based on the physical state of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. The next is the nature of interaction. The nature of interaction between this dispersed phase and dispersion medium. And the third is the types of particles of dispersed phase. So if you see in all these, the next 15 or 20 slides which I'll be discussing, it is very critical to understand the concept of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. If you don't understand, please again rewind back and see my video and understand what is dispersed phase and dispersion medium. So having told that, let's start with the first classification, where we'll classify the colloids based on the physical state of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. So if you see, there are three physical states, right? Solid, liquid and gas. Correct? So now this is, let's suppose, for my dispersed phase. Similarly, my dispersion medium can also be solid, liquid and gas. So by maths probability, how many possible combinations we can have? 3 into 3, that is 9. But there is a catch here. When you mix gas with gas, right? If you assume my gas is my colloidal particle and my gas is again my dispersion medium, they mix immediately, right? So gas and gas is not colloid, because gas plus gas is always a homogeneous solution. So one is ignored. So there are 8 possible combinations. Correct? See, there are three different states for dispersed phase, that is solid, liquid, gas. 3 different phase or state for medium, that is solid, liquid, gas. If you apply mass also, 3 into 3, 9 possible combination. Right? Solid with solid, solid with liquid, solid with gas, 3. Liquid with solid, liquid with liquid, liquid with gas, 3 more. Gas with solid, gas with liquid and gas with gas, 3 more. Total 9. But one gas within gas is not a colloid, because gas and gas, they mix immediately and they are homogeneous solutions. So 8 possible systems, and these are the 8 possible systems we have. Right? So solid in solid, solid colloids, solid particles in solid medium, solid particles in liquid medium, solid particles in gas medium, liquid particle in solid mediums, liquid particles in liquid medium, liquid particles in gas medium, gas particles in solid medium, and gas particles in liquid medium. These are the 8 possible combinations we have. Solid particles in solid medium are called solid sols. Solid particles in liquid medium are called sols. Solid particles in gas are called aerosols. Liquid particles in solid is called gel. Liquid in liquid is called emulsion. Liquid in gas is called aerosol. Gas in solid is called solid sols, and gas in liquid is called foam. So these are the combinations. So if it is too much for you, so let's understand these in detail. Let's take some examples and let's get ourselves familiar with these kind of colloid. So the first colloid we are discussing is solid colloidal particles in solid medium, right? Solid particles in solid medium. Correct? And this is called solid sols. Okay, so the example is the cranberry glass. If you see, this is cranberry glass, the ruby glasses, gemstone. These are all my examples of colloids where I have solid particles. This cranberry glass has gold particles, I think. Yeah, these particles are now dispersed in solid because the glass is solid. right? So I have some gold particles that are dispersed, and this gold particles give it a red shape. It's a very costly glass. So gold particles dispersed in the glass. Glass is what? Solid. And this small particles we have here is the gold particles generally. That is also what? Solid. Here also the gemstone, if you see, they have different color, right? So the gemstone is by default, stone is again a solid. And now on this we have this, the colors which you get here is because of some particles. So here we see the particles are solid and the medium is also solid. So this is example of scenario where the particles are also solid and the medium is also solid. It is called solid sol. The next is solid particles in liquid medium. So let me write here solid colloidal particles, actually colloid particles in liquid medium, and this is called sol. Correct. A good example is paint. Paint, if you see, the whole paint is liquid, right? So actually it is the medium which will tell you what is the state. The final state will be decided by the medium, right? Because the medium is more in quantity. So here if you see, the medium is what? Liquid. But the paint, the red, blue or black, whatever paint you see is solid particles. Correct. So if you talk about the blood also, blood is also actually, if you see, it is in liquid medium. Blood is liquid. The whole blood is liquid, right? The blood is in liquid medium. But the particles inside the blood that makes the blood actually, that is solid particles. That RBC, you have, right? RBC, WBC, all these things in the blood. These are solids. You must have learned bio. Similarly, when you talk about ink, ink is liquid. The whole ink is liquid, so the medium is liquid. But when you talk about the particles of ink, they are solid. Actually, when you dry this ink, you will get all the solid particles. Also, we have seen in the charcoal, also when you dip this and you put some charcoal here, charcoal will absorb all the solid particles of the ink and the ink will become colorless. These particles are all solid particles. So we'll discuss more about this salts in the next two slides. The next is aerosols, where I'm talking about solid in gas, that is solid particles in gas medium. So here the whole thing will be in gas because the medium is gas. It is called aerosols. Now a good example is smoke. In smoke, if you see, it is pure air plus all these particles, and these all particles are what? Solid actually. Carbon, there are so many particles here. This smoke is a good example of, it has actually burnt particles, smoke. That's why it is black. So smoke is a good example of aerosol, where we have solid particles. These are solid particles in gas medium. Spray paint is one example. So if you spray this paint, what you get is what? Solid particles. But with this solid particles, if you see, everything is in gas. So the gas medium. This dust, sometimes you see, right? This dust actually, if you see this dust, when it is in air, this medium is what? Gas medium. But actually, if you see this particles which makes this dust, they are solid particles. Correct. The next is liquid in solid, that is, I have liquid particles in solid medium. They are called gel. So you must have use this jelly bean, right? This chocolates and toffees come in jelly bean. Butter is also a good example. So in butter, if you see, we have liquid particles in the solid medium. The whole medium is solid. If you see the butter is solid. But if you see the particles in the butter, that is liquid, right? These particles are liquid. If you talk about a jelly or jam also, if you see, the whole jam is solid, right? The whole jam is solid, so I'll say it is solid medium. But if you talk about the particles of the jam, they are all liquid particles, correct? Cheese is also one good example. Cheese, if you see, it is all solid, so I'll say solid medium. But if you see the particles here is almost similar to the milk particles. They are liquid particles actually. So this is a good example where I have liquid particles in the solid medium called gel. The next is liquid particle in liquid medium, emulsion. Liquid particle in liquid medium. So for example, milk and water, if you say, as I told, milk is a liquid particle, and if you, instead of making it a butter that is solid, you just put some milk particle in water. So what it becomes? Water is what? Liquid. So the whole thing is liquid medium. But the milk particles where I have this is also what? This is also liquid particles. So here if you see, the particles are liquid, the medium is liquid. If you talk about mixture of oil and water, oil is the whole, if you assume that you have 1 liter of water and you just add some 10-20 drops of water, so in that 10-20 drops of oil, so by this water becomes medium. So water is what? Liquid medium. And this oil is what? Particle. Oil is also liquid. This liquid particle. Talk about mayonnaise, same thing. Mayonnaise also, the whole thing is liquid, is a liquid medium, and the ingredient is again the milk and those kind of stuff, and that is also my liquid. So particle is liquid, medium is liquid. If you talk about these creams which we use, right, shaving cream or face cream, that also has liquid particles, because when you rub on your face, you don't get any solid particles. If it had solid particles, you will see that solid thing. Some face wash nowadays that comes has some solid particles. You must have seen, right? When you rub that in your face, you see some solid things, and then when you mix with water, it goes off, right? So, but if you take any cream, you rub on your face, you will see all liquid. There is no solid particles. There is no hard particles. Correct? Why? Because these again is a colloid. The whole medium is liquid, and the particle inside this is also liquid. Correct? Now I talk about liquid in gas. So that is liquid particle in gas medium. They are also called aerosols. So in gas medium, if you take liquid particle or solid particles, both are called aerosols. Okay. Now we are talking about the liquid particles in the gas. A good example is fog. So if you see the fog has what? Everything, if you see the fog, you feel it is a gas, but it has drops of water. So fog, if you see, fog looks like gas. So the whole medium is gas. But if you talk about the fog particles, they are liquid. The fog particles are nothing but water, right? So fog particles are liquid. That is water. So fog is a good example of colloids, where liquid particles in gas medium. Correct. The next example is mist. Mist is also similar to fog. Cloud also, if you see cloud, it is gas, right? Cloud is a gas, but it has all the water particles. So cloud is also a good example of colloids of liquid particles in gas medium. If we talk about this insecticide spray or deodorant which you use, they are liquid particles in gas. See, there is a difference between spray paint and this insecticides. When you spray the paint, whatever particles you get in the case of spray paint was solid particles, right? The solid particles stick to the wall or any place where you spray the paint. But this insecticide, when you spray on something, what you get is a liquid particle, correct? So this is the example of aerosol where I have liquid particles in gas medium. Spray paint was the example of the aerosol where you have solid particle in the gas medium. Right? So these are the few examples of aerosols where we have liquid particle in the gas medium. The next is gas particles in solid medium. This is interesting. Gas particles in solid medium. See, when we say something is medium and something is gas, right? So if we talk about this, you talk about the aerogel, right? Or you talk about the pumice stone which you get from volcanic rock. So these rocks are very light, right? This pumice stone. In fact, this kind of stone was used to build a bridge between India and Sri Lanka as per the mythology by Ram and his team. This stone is very light. It floats on water actually. Why? Because it has all this pores here and it has air in it. So if you talk about this, the whole medium is solid. So it looks like a solid rock, right? So I'll see that the medium is solid. Right? But inside this, there are a lot of gas particles. Correct? Why gas particles? Because it has so much pores. So many pores, so gas particles are there. So I will call this as colloids of gas particle in solid medium. Right? If we talk about this aerosol, it's very light, ultra light. You see, the very light ultra aerosol, but it can hold such a huge stones, very strong also. This aerosol is very light, ultra light, because it has all air inside it, but it is a solid structure. Since it is a solid structure, I'll say the medium is solid. But in this, there are so many pores which has air in it. So I'll say that it has gas particles. Correct? So in fact, the foam is also, I'll say that foam is also a colloid of gas particles in solid medium. The foam which you must have seen in the home. Right? These are the examples of colloids of gas particles in solid medium. Please note, when you talk about colloids, you don't talk only about the particles. You talk about the particles also and medium also. You just say that you can't say the solid colloid. You have to say solid particles in the solid medium is a colloid, and that colloid is called solid sol. Here, gas particles in the solid medium is called a colloid, and that colloid is solid sol. Similarly, liquid particle in the liquid medium is called a colloid, and that kind of colloid is called emulsion. Right? So when you talk about colloid, you talk both about the particles and the medium, because both particles in the medium forms colloid. Next, let's talk about the next kind of colloids where you have gas particles in liquid medium. So you see gas particles in liquid medium, and they are called foam. See, the foam which you get in cold drink, the froth actually called, right? That's a good example of this kind of colloids. Or the whipped cream. If you see this cream is generally a liquid. The whole thing is a liquid, right? And you have some bubbles in this. That's gas. If you talk about the foam is also liquid. It's a liquid, but it has gas bubbles, right? So it is gas and liquid. The soap foam you get, right? That's also gas. That's also liquid, but you have gas bubbles or gas particles in it. So it is gas particles in a liquid medium, and they are called foam. Right? See, in the solid sol, I told foam. I'm not talking about this kind of foam. I'm talking about this kind of hard foam. You must have seen this kind of hard foam also in the market, right? So this hard foam is nothing but gas and liquid. But when we're talking about this kind of foam, the foam from the soap, foam from the froth from this cold drink, or this, these are my liquid form, right? So this is a liquid form. Thank you. Visit examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online tests, get free study materials, find tutors and mentors, and much more. Thanks once again.